everybody, it's Fight Club Hubs.
It's Rolento 13, and with us today we have someone that we play Monster Hunter with, which we do Monster Hunter Mondays.
Avery, aka GrooveDiva.
That's right.
Yep, we got a diva with us. So, today's episode is a very special one. One that's very nostalgic. It's almost on the 30th anniversary of the show. Today we're going to be doing our first TV show, a adaptation of The Legend of Zelda. This ran on Fridays alongside the Super Mario Bros Supershow. And while the Mario Bros Supershow ran for 2 seasons of about 60 episodes, they only made 13 episodes of this.
That's it.
And looking back at it, I enjoyed this as a kid, from what I can remember. It was fun. I thought it was hilarious the way Link was always trying to put the moves on Zelda. He had a surfer's accent, which at the time was kind of like, you know, really weird.
And what was his famous quote?
Excuse me, princess.
Excuse me, princess. Hey, excuse me, princess. Excuse me, princess.
Right.
And you know, in this day and age, everyone always rags or makes fun of that. It's kind of hilarious. And that's the only thing they remember, outside of the princess always, you know, warding off his advances.
True.
And then Ganon always making attempts at trying to steal the Triforce of Wisdom, which is just in his bedroom, Link's bedroom.
Basically.
Yeah.
And my experience with it comes from when I was a kid. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old when this came out. And I would watch it with my uncles, because my 2 uncles were the people that I played Nintendo with, watched them play Zelda, because it was too over my head at the time. But the fact that there was a video game cartoon was like the most crazy thing in the world for me. So when it came out, we were watching it all the time. My uncle would record it. We would watch it back a couple times throughout the week. And I used to love it as a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, sadly, I never seen it before. I never heard of. I never been around a time where there was video games, TV shows, and stuff.
What are you talking about? You grew up with shows like Donkey Kong and Kirby.
This is true.
Kirby.
By the way, for those who don't know, this old man right here is actually 10 years younger than the rest of us.
Yeah. Young buck.
Young buck. So we are gonna actually rewatch all 13 episodes on this DVD right here. For him, it's gonna be his first time viewing it. Correct?
Yeah.
He looks excited.
I know. I'm
Welcome
totally
to the
excited.
family.
Yeah. So if Avery joins us for any more episodes in the future, this will determine that, I guess.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. So we got about 3 hours of nonstop
Action.
Yeah, that's what it
3
says.
That's what it says.
Right there.
Yeah.
3 hours of action.
Yep. That we got to sit through. So we'll be back in a minute.
A few moments later.
Whew.
Boy, howdy.
Oh man, what a ride! What a ride! Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
I needed that. I really needed that.
Oh my goodness. So I think
We made it through all 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
So I think I've come to the conclusion that the series should be called The Legend of Zelda: Thirst of Hyrule. Because oh boy, were they
Agreed.
thirsty. Whoo.
Okay, so here's the thing. What he means by that. Someone is thirsting after somebody in this show.
Looking good, princess. Especially from this angle.
Majority of the time, it's Link trying to get a kiss from Zelda. When it's not Link, it's Sprite, the little fairy, who's cock-blocking Link and Zelda from kissing, and she's thirsting after Link.
Weird.
Very.
And then there's a couple of times where there's this holy white knight that's thirsting for Zelda, and Zelda's thirsting for him back. And we're pretty sure that somewhere in between they got it on.
It has twice.
Yeah, and then there's the time where Ganon was thirsting for Zelda, and he tried to make her marry him with a bracelet or necklace. There was a mummy that hooked up with Link. There was an evil mirror version of Zelda that hooked up with Link, and then there was a time when Link took Zelda out for a picnic, and she just jumped all over him.
I'll drink to that.
Like, wow, woo!
They were some of the thirstiest people you have ever seen.
Oh my god.
I just can't believe how many innuendos were in a kid's production. I mean, they had to have known that little kids are going to be watching this.
You should stick with me.
Sprite, you're only 3 inches high.
What? You don't like short girls? I like you just the way you are. Especially at the moment.
You swing that sword like a girl.
I am a girl.
Yes, I've noticed.
Oh! Even when you're a ghost, you're disgusting.
Man, they got away with a lot of things back in the day.
Yeah, bananas.
So, like, woo! I don't know where to start, but you know what? Let's crack this thing open, beginning with, you know, our love of the video game.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about what they took from the video game, because there's not a whole lot to the video game itself, because it's a very simple adventure game, you know, created by, you know, the man himself, Shigeru Miyamoto. You're pretty much this little boy by the name of Link who travels to Hyrule with the Triforce of Courage to back him up. He runs into Impa. She says, please rescue the Princess Zelda, who is held captive in Death Mountain by the evil wizard Ganon, and you have to collect all 8 pieces of the Triforce. Enough said, you go on a quest, you get better weapons, you get a whole armament of magical items, bombs, boomerangs, a magic wand, a raft, you know, a ladder to climb over small ravines of rivers, power bracelets, you know, all kinds of stuff. And what made the game so popular in the 80s was something called, you know, Miyamoto referred to it as, you know, kind of like video game gossiping. He wanted people to you know, communicate, like at the school, talk about, hey, I found this at this place, or I found this at that place, because the game, outside of like a tutorial of how to get to the second dungeon in the booklet, did not hold your hand, did not give you direction.
You mean it just wasn't about a gold cartridge?
No, although the gold cartridge was pretty fancy.
Yes, it was.
You gotta admit, that was nice.
Yes, it was.
So, you being the youngin', though, you actually have played the first Zelda game. Tell us your experience.
My first experience, I was like, I did not know, after going through the first dungeon, I did not know where to go. I'm so used to just going through that narrow path. It was so open-ended. It felt like I would say Breath of the Wild more. Of how open it is, of you can go anywhere, any dungeon you want, and whatever weapon you find in that dungeon, you just roll with it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I'm so used to Ocarina of Time, just going through this narrow path of each dungeon and dungeon. But the original Zelda, it was very interesting. I think everybody should take a jab at it. You know, and not have a guide to it if they feel like they're stuck or whatever. Yeah. But it's very, very, very innovative game. I love it.
Yeah. Despite what some famous YouTubers out there might say about the Legend of Zelda, you know, because there's a couple of people out there who say it's overrated and it's not as great a game as everyone likes to think it is, which is complete jargon, which is complete bullshit. I like to say jargon way too much now. I gotta stop that.
That's one of your favorite words.
I know. Well, today anyway. Tomorrow, who knows what it'll be.
Oh boy.
But this was a great game. It was one of the first games I enjoyed playing. One of the first games I played for the NES, period. And I just loved the exploration aspect of it, trying to figure out where things were, jotting it down, making my own maps. It was just so much fun, and just the riddles that were throughout the game, you know, just trying to figure things out. It was just so much. It was so much fun. And then, yeah, again, the schoolyard talk of gossip, just to try and help your friends along, or your friends help you along. It worked. This is the days before the internet, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember playing Legend of Zelda as a kid. I didn't know what was going on because I was like 5 when the thing came out. The only thing I understood how to play was Mario, Duck Hunt, stuff like that. But something as vast as Legend of Zelda, I used to just run around, trying to kill stuff, dying constantly. But I was having fun. But I just didn't really understand the concept of the game. So I used to watch my uncle play, because my uncle was always going through the game. And then when I saw that he could get different colored tunics, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Very, very shocking as a kid.
And then don't forget, finding out there's a second quest.
See, I didn't even find out that until my cousin had Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
So, my cousin always had Nintendo Power. He probably still has every issue, if I'm not mistaken, still in his house. But
Nice.
didn't even find out there was a second quest until reading that. I was like, wait, what? There's more?
Mm-hmm.
So, very shocking experience then.
Now,
And that's not something that was normal at all at that time.
yeah. Now, in 1989, they decided to adapt this into a cartoon series alongside, as I've mentioned, the Super Mario Bros Supershow. The show creation and head writer was Bob Forward. If you're not familiar with it, he's done a few episodes of writing for, various cartoons of the 80s and 90s, like G.I. Joe, or most notably the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and Transformers Beast Wars. If anyone remembers that show.
I remember that show. That was my show back in the day.
That was his jam. Now, in terms of an adaptation of how he went about it, all he really did was just took the names and characters of the game and just mashed them in a cartoon. Kind of like, much, you could say, I guess, a better structure than Super Mario Bros. Super Show, because it was just completely random.
Very, very random.
For the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. But in this regard, the show's premise is, okay, Link lives in the castle with the princess.
First
And the king.
Point number one.
Looking good, princess. Especially from this angle.
Yeah.
He's living in the castle with her.
And
already.
every chance he gets, he tries to dick over, his guard duties to try and get a kiss from the princess. And okay, we get it. He's kind of like a mooch. He's lazy. But he shows up when there's a fight. He throws down. He gets the job done. Once in a while, he needs a hand because he gets a little over cocky with Zelda sometimes helping him out with the fight. But he gets the job done, and he deserves, in the end, to try and be rewarded, and he tries to get a kiss. Now, here's the thing that caught me off guard. Princess Zelda, and I don't remember this as a kid, but apparently, 30 years later can change your mind. Take off the nostalgia goggles, guys. Princess Zelda's a bitch.
Oh, my God. I can't stand it.
This is my friend, well, an acquaintance. Somebody I know slightly. His name's Stink. Link! Stop him!
Hey, I'm trying, princess.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you wonder why Link says, "Whoa, excuse me, princess." I would say that if I'm around Zelda. I'd be like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, and for the last 15 years of internet culture, they've been memeing and making fun of that catchphrase, "Excuse me, princess," to death.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Like, it was the most annoying thing about the show. And I mean, let's be honest, it was annoying,
Oh, yeah.
but not nearly as bad as just the way Zelda, at every turn, tries to shrug off Link, saying, "Hey, I had people attacking me in my own bedroom." Which, by the way, how the hell is there like 20 tunnels under the castle getting into Link's room where the Triforce is? You would think they'd have an army.
To be fair, there's like 6 people in all Hyrule in this show. They really don't have a very big population. The only time you ever see an army is when they decide to make a pool system. That's it. Everybody else is bounces.
Yeah.
Maybe because Zelda's acting the way she's acted.
Now, outside of, Zelda, they have the king. Yeah, they show off his dad, or her dad.
That's like Link's right-hand man.
Yeah, because he tries to aid Link in his quest for thirst. Because the best episode was the Sing for the Unicorn. Although I think it would have been better if they renamed it Song for a Unicorn. That's just my opinion. But in this episode, at the very beginning,
Ganon rides a freaking unicorn.
he comes out looking like a badass, actually.
Sure
on
does.
a
He
unicorn.
does.
It looks like some kind of crazy nostalgic cover of like a band CD or something.
Yeah, but in this episode, at the very beginning, the king aids Link. Like, Link is about to swing down into the princess's room to get a kiss from her. And the king is like, you're not going to do it that way. Here's some flowers.
Let's think about how he actually set things up. The king is just looking off in the tower at his kingdom, was just like 5 other people other than him. And Link's on the other side of this tower, shoots an arrow from a bow over to her area, where her tower is, and he's getting ready to swing over to her because for some reason she's lower. Because, you know, earlier he was like, hey, princess, looking good from this angle, even though she was fully clothed, and she got really offended by that.
Looking good, princess. Especially from this angle.
Kiss. The king comes over and says, well, Link, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I'm about to swing over to your daughter's room to get a kiss. And the king's like, well, you're going to need some flowers for that, you know? Well, good luck, kid. And he pushes him off.
Yeah! Yeah!
Flowers? For me? Oh, how sweet.
Just have fun.
Yeah, so
she's only my daughter, but you know.
yeah, that's the king of the show.
Quench your
does
thirst.
not exist in any of the other Zelda games except for he's hinted at Ocarina of Time, and he shows up in Link, the Wind Waker as the boat.
I'm gonna call him the thirst quencher.
Yeah. Now, other characters in the show. The other main character in the show is Ganon. And Ganon is actually probably the best character in the whole show. He's menacing. He always concocts some devious plans. He's almost won several times throughout all 13 episodes. He's had the Triforce of Wisdom with him at least half of the episodes. Or he's concocted a plan that somehow works, but because of the plot, he would lose the day. The other characters would be the assortment of monsters that he has, and they're most of the reasons why he ends up losing the day, because they're just dumb as rocks. Like, they represent every monster except for a couple, like the Pole's voice, is in the show. I actually mentioned, hey, where the hell did Dodongo's at? And he showed up in the last episode.
Yep, sure did.
And
the one character that I still can't wrap around my head as to why they really needed it is Sprite, the little fairy girl that's super thirsty for Link.
I like you just the way you are, especially at the moment.
Anytime Zelda disses him, she's like, well, I don't mind that, Link. I'm just like, she's definitely the backup.
She's like, you always looking good to me, Link.
Yeah, like innuendos like crazy. Oh my goodness.
And then he would turn around and say, but you're only 3 inches tall.
Not to mention that he only had like a 2-foot sword.
Yeah, that sword was really small.
I mean,
really just small.
Look at how, but look at how he handles it, though.
I mean, yeah, he knows how to work that sword, but
He
at
sure
the same
does.
time,
He was bad small though.
Yeah. One thing I noticed watching the show is like how when you kill this enemy, he pretty much just shoots him with the sword. Like he pretty much is a gun at this point.
Yeah.
Like just no one. I mean, you see some short clashes, but just to finish the bolt. Pew pew.
I mean, that thing is so small. He really doesn't need the double-handed. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
No double-handing necessary.
No.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah.
Not a very heavy adaptation, to be truthfully honest.
No. If you think about it, it's like it's not much to not much story you can get off of it. Like Hubs explained earlier. I mean, you know, only these characters.
These thirsty characters.
Very thirsty characters.
Oh gosh. Whew.
So now that we've talked about it as a game adaptation, let's break it down and talk about the episodes themselves in a little bit more detail. We'll highlight some of our favorite episodes and plot points that worked out, and we'll talk about the low points. And Jesus Christ, there's a lot of low points.
Yeah, there are. This show is all over the place. Plot points. Generally speaking, Ganon attacks, steals Triforce. Link and Zelda retaliate. Sometimes Zelda's more of an active member, sometimes she's not. She just complains a lot about Link.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what he's doing, even if he saves her, she'll still complain. Yeah, it's kind of one of those episodes.
It's like that most of the episodes, as a matter of fact. So you can easily just say plot A and plot B, or subplot B, are in every episode. I mean, they do mix it up. I would say the best episodes revolve around, actually when Zelda has to do most of the heroism.
True.
Like the first episode where we witnessed her actually going out on her way to, save Link is the kiss, or kiss and tell, or whatever it's called, where he gets, where Ganon has Gleeok and a mummy set Link up for a spell where he gets transformed into a kiss or a frog by a kiss. And he's all freaking out and whatever, and Zelda's just like, alright, fine, I'll save your ass. And then they go through all this trouble by... Actually, Zelda actually gets captured in that one.
Yes, she
gets captured, and Link has to find a way to get down there and rescue her. Mm-hmm. So I completely screwed that whole whole thing up.
Was that the one with the mirror?
No.
That's not the one.
That's not the one with the mirror. That was the one with him as a frog.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she tries to save him, but she gets captured. Link has to go down and rescue her as a frog, and he has to consult some witch in the wall, which was kind of hilarious.
So weird.
And
the way he even found her was a really weird description, like where the longest wall ends.
Because it goes into the ground. It never ends.
Whatever.
But yeah, he says that you got to get kissed by Princess. Okay. Sure.
It's about as clever as they get at this point.
They get to the very end. He's like, "You got to kiss me, Princess. I'm a frog." Ribbit eats a fly.
That's exactly what his voice sounds like too.
And Kermit the Frog here.
That would have been hilarious if they did that. Oh my goodness.
And he again, she tries to kiss him, cock blocked by Ganon, and then out of nowhere, Sprite shows up. "Oh, you poor guy, you had a hard day." Kisses him. He's back to normal. Apparently, Sprite is a princess. We don't know about this until the 5th episode.
Who would have known?
And then we find out who her dad is in the last episode.
Yep. And then her dad looks just like the king of Hyrule. Like they could be cousins. Like his
Only
cousin
3
was a
inches
fairy, and it's like they got the same beard, the same crown. Apparently, that's a thing in Hyrule.
Yeah, pretty much. And I shall call him Fairy Me.
Fairy MacGuffin.
Fairy MacGuffin. I love that.
Another episode that I thought was actually pretty good. It was we mentioned it at the very beginning. It was the kiss, or not the kiss. The sing for the sing of the unicorn. It's a stupid title, by the way. Should have been called Song for a Unicorn or something like that. Yeah, it's the one where Ganon comes out riding a unicorn looking badass.
Straight 80s, baby.
Yeah, kidnaps the king, and then from there, this is the only episode where it actually feels like a legitimate adventure, because now Link and Zelda work together to go and rescue the king. We actually feel like, there's something on the line here, because the king is in like a dungeon that's, the floor is slowly disappearing, so they have a race against time to rescue him. We actually have stakes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just, oh no, he has to get the Triforce or he'll be the most powerful person ever. It's happened like 4 times, and nothing happened, so there were no stakes. Yeah. This time, we actually have stakes. We see the king getting ready to fall to his death in a fiery pit of some kind. And Link and Zelda are working their asses off, fighting all kinds of monsters, doing teamwork, and it was a great episode. I mean, it was still cheesy, especially when they introduced the Asian ninja person with the high-pitched voice.
I know that
she doesn't speak our language.
It's like, oh, and I'm thinking to myself, what is the ninja doing with a unicorn? I ain't gonna ask questions. I'm just gonna keep on watching. But that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it was very interesting because it was the first one that felt like an adventure. They started off in Hyrule, the castle area. They ended up going into a dungeon, hit a trap, met a third character. It kind of felt like a 2-player Zelda game, long before 4 Swords. But it was very interesting. It was like more of a very expansive adventure that they didn't really do very much in the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, I think like the only other major adventure which had stakes was one of the last few episodes before, you know, I mean, the writing hasn't been great, but it really hit the fan in the final 5 episodes. But only one gem of those final 5 episodes involved, you know, Zelda going out of her way to save Link, who was accidentally killed in combat. So his body has been teleported to Ganon's monster jar, but his spirit remained, and only Zelda could see it. And now she's picking up the sword, and this is where the comments come from about she acts like she doesn't know how to use it. She has to go on this adventure to save Link and rescue him, and it's just, it felt
All
interesting at first, but it was all. Excuse me, man. This water, holy crap!
The thirst is real, man.
The thirst is real. Yeah, it's just that like the plot of this was all over the place. It's like Zelda figures out how to use the sword after Link's teachings, like use both hands to aim, even though we see him doing it with one hand.
Whoa.
half
You gotta double hand it. That's the theme of today. You gotta double hand it.
Yeah, she's using one hand and she's flying back like she just used a shotgun. Like the recoil was that powerful.
But mind you, like 7 episodes before this, she had actually taken Link's sword and used it herself because she was ticked off at him, thinking he was being all cocky and stuff like that. But now she forgets how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was smart. Like, yeah, go ahead, princess. You got to double-handed.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she's got to learn to use both hands.
That's right.
For his small sword.
I'll tell you. Innuendos on top of innuendos. That's what it was. The thirst is real.
So,
that.
Oh my goodness.
Now, we've talked about literally like the 3 best episodes. Oh my god. I don't even know where to begin about the worst episodes. And it's a 13 episode.
Well, let's each one pick an episode and explain it.
Alright, well, as our guest, you may go first.
That's right.
I will say the worst one for me is the one where Ganon's minions had to they shy away Ganon. They put him in a bottomless pit just so, and then they were like, "Oh, we can do this ourselves. We can."
The very last episode.
Yeah,
the rebellion.
Yeah, when they were trying to get Link and Zelda, and they just failed. I'm just like, okay. Especially, the first time you watch the episode, you just see what was it, like 2 ninja moblins and 2 wolf characters. They were coming in trying to get Link while Link is just reading some magazine. I don't know.
It was Adventure magazine.
Yeah.
I read it. I'm just saying.
I guess. And then for some reason they end up just beating up themselves, and then Link was like, "Oh wow."
So he said, "I'm just that good." Really?
Yeah. And of course, Zelda comes in, busting his balls. You're not doing anything. You're not cleaning, and all that crap.
To be fair, I think that's probably unanimously all 3 of our most hated episodes.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything different.
I really, really hated the water park episode.
The water park. Why?
That was you could tell that they were digging for ideas because they must have had their budget cut like after the first 4 episodes, because this is where I started noticing even more problems with the editing and film transition and all that fun stuff with everything. Because remember that one scene where Zelda was just standing there talking to Link, and you just saw the film quality just suddenly go from fuzzy to clear, fuzzy to clear, fuzzy to clear.
Yes. It was so weird. It's like it was like the camera was focusing while the animation was going, and it was just going from high quality, low quality. Like, imagine a YouTube video with the quality on auto, and it keeps going back and forth between like 240p and 720. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but that was not just the only problem. I couldn't stand the fact that they tried to make an adventure out of water demons, kidnapping the king and trying to ruin this water park that the king decided was extremely important to him for whatever reason. And then at the very end, it turns out to be just fairies creating these demons. Princess Zelda, for whatever reason, decides to tag along the Triforce of Wisdom
like a balloon.
Yeah, and she somehow they reveal to her where the pond is that these monsters are originating from, and that's where they find the fairies. In fact, they just so happen to be related to Sprite.
Oh boys, bring her back in here, her thirsty self.
Get introduced to her sister,
who's probably just as thirsty.
Probably.
They're the Thirst Twins.
Yeah. And what is your favorite episode?
Favorite bad episode?
I don't care.
The Sing episode was probably the best one, and I gotta go with Avery's worst episode because it was so bad. Oh man, like I think that's the episode where we saw the most editing errors of any episode. Like the budget was just so bad that everything about the quality was just falling apart.
Yeah, and the slapstick jokes,
they were just getting
worse and worse.
So, yeah, let's kick it back a notch. Let's talk about all those hiccups that we saw throughout the show, all those editing errors that we saw.
So bad.
Oh my god. I mean,
so bad.
Look, I mean, I understand when you have a huge cartoon like the Ninja Turtles or Super Mario Bros Supershow where you got to do a ton of episodes in like the first couple of seasons and you're rushing through it, and I can understand making hiccups here and there, like Raphael talking but Leonardo's voice is coming out, or you accidentally palette swap Mario and Luigi or whatever, or Toad is talking but it's Princess Peach's voice or whatever. I mean, I understand that, you have a time limit and you got to get these things out as fast as possible. This is only 13 fucking episodes.
That's it. That's all I had to do. You had one job.
You had one job, and even you couldn't get that right. No. So I can definitely see why they didn't, make more than 13 episodes. I mean, holy crap. And it got worse towards the end of the season. Yeah. So on top of that, like, what were some of the editing errors you saw? Like, what was the most prevalent one for you?
Oh, the funny one was when the episode when Link was gagged by the merchant. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can see, it's like, there's something that you wouldn't notice. But it's like, but when you see it, there's one moment where they were looking a different way, but then when they switched frames, I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, the same background?
Yeah, the background never changed. The background never changed.
But the angle of the animation changed.
Yeah, and that one was weird.
Imagine that you have a camera angle set on two characters. One character goes out of frame. Then it shows a different angle of that character and the thing that's next to them. But the background behind them has not changed.
Yep.
Very jarring.
One of the most constant ones I saw was the issue with transparent characters.
Oh my goodness.
You saw this mostly towards the end, but you would end up seeing characters like Link suddenly going transparent for absolutely no reason for maybe a couple frames. Or you'll see Ganon standing in front of his jar of monsters, and he's suddenly transparent, barely there, but you can still see him somehow. Other issues.
What about the transparent fairies?
Yeah.
Back and forth whether they were like normal or transparent. That was weird.
Yeah, and that in the water park episode. Holy Jesus. Another one, the people missing, just randomly disappearing at the end of a frame, or
yes.
or how about the time when Zelda was tripping balls as she's trying to touch Ghost Link and her arms are just all fucking wavy and shit, like she was on LSD.
It was shadowy, like she was doing a custom combo in Street Fighter. It was weird.
Mm-hmm. And what about you? What else have you seen?
As a guy that went for animation, the worst thing that I saw was the actual frame tilting off, and you seeing the animation light table behind it, and you literally seeing the light structure behind it that's holding the paper or whatever they have, the cell in place, and you're like, really? Really? Do you really have to see what you're working on of this animation? bananas. I never thought I would ever see the actual animation light table during an episode. Craziness. And it wasn't the making of or anything.
You know what? I would have to say that I could top that with one more.
What you got?
Remember the episode where Ganon's army, usurps him,
Okay.
and he's in the bubble, and he comes out of his bottomless pit, but then he comes floating down, and you see the entire cell that he is on being slowly pulled down. You see the frame of it and everything as it comes down.
Alright, so check it out. And the animation of that time was on cells, which they painted on one side, and they would flip it so that you see the nice image on it. The problem with this animation, or this particular scene, was that they cut the cell into a square around Ganon in this bubble. And you can see the shadows of this cell being pulled down and then across. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what, and there was another glitch, and it happened in the earlier episodes. It's like where I don't know if it's the DVD transfer or if the head of the VHS master tape or whatever that this was copied off of was dirty or something. But there was a small glitch where the show froze and the audio had a skip, but it was fixed like a couple frames later. This was a botch and a half.
What about when Ganon wasn't moving his mouth but still talking?
Oh, that wasn't just Ganon. It was like a bunch of people. Oh, everybody.
Everybody had
that's a classic trait.
Oh my gosh! It was like watching an old Chinese flick, kung fu flick, in the middle of watching one of these episodes. It was hilarious.
Man. I tell you what, this was the gift that kept on giving.
It sure was. It sure was.
And the thirst was real.
Shut up and kiss me.
Boy.
One last swig for good luck.
Cheers.
So, you guys get rid of your thirst from watching all these thirsty episodes?
Yeah, I'm just glad that, we're going to be moving on to something better.
Yeah, we definitely are. So, why don't you let them know what's up in store?
All right, well, as this was our first episode where we covered a cartoon adaptation of a video game, well, let's jump over to another medium. We are going to be talking about Legend of Zelda comics adaptations. So, Valiant put up a good effort, Nintendo Power put up a good one. We are going to go in depth and talk about at least what issues we have next show. And you will be shocked to hear what we have to say about these.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to us. I am Fight Club Hubs.
I'm Rolento 13.
And I am GrooveDiva.
Deuces.